Hi everyone, and welcome. Oh my God! We want to share a new factual development connected to the broader cross-border structure we have been documenting across previous updates involving buy-to-sell, LLHP, Miasia Group, and related public-facing entities. This update is based on a direct written communication recently received following the publication of the latest documentary reviews and public record analysis. What makes this communication relevant is not emotional tone, and it is not personal disagreement. What matters is what the communication reveals about the structure itself. Stay with me until the end, because one explosive sentence in this communication connects directly to the broader recurring pattern already documented across multiple jurisdictions. Over the past weeks, the reviewed record expanded significantly. A newly incorporated Florida entity appeared through public corporate filings. Public-facing claims involving major global brands and retail operators were reviewed, and overlapping business narratives involving market entry, franchising, retail expansion, and distribution across Southeast Asia became more visible. Following those publications, a new email was received from Lahong Lin, also publicly referred as Elena Lin, and signing it as General Director at LLHP Pte Ltd in Singapore. The communication repeatedly framed the issue around public visibility. One sentence stated, quote, "I note your continued public actions and video posts directed at me on YouTube." Another stated, quote, "These personal attacks do not affect my standing or my ability to continue my business activities." That distinction matters, because the documentation published so far has not focused on personal life, private matters, or speculation. The focus has consistently been corporate records, contractual performance, reimbursement obligations, public-facing business representations, and the wider cross-border entity structure connected to those activities. What is especially important is what the communication did not provide. It did not dispute the existence of the Florida entity. It did not dispute the reviewed public-facing claims involving Starbucks, GS25, Gongcha, or the listed retail operators. It did not provide independent confirmation of those claimed relationships. It did not provide reimbursement execution, and it did not provide a concrete settlement path within the previously discussed timeframe. Instead, the communication focused repeatedly on exposure itself, but one sentence deserves particular attention. The communication stated, quote, "I can create 1,000 more new business and your publish just mean nothing impact." On its own, that sentence may mean many things. Companies can legitimately create new entities, new brands, and new commercial structures. But when that statement is read together with the broader record already reviewed, the context becomes more relevant. Because the reviewed record already shows multiple entities, multiple jurisdictions, overlapping public-facing narratives, newly incorporated company layers, and recurring market entry and distribution structures appearing under different names. That is precisely why the sentence matters, not because it proves misconduct by itself, but because it appears consistent with the broader structural pattern already under review. The communication also stated, quote, "I can do new name every month that you never know." Again, the issue is not the creation of companies itself. The issue is the surrounding context. Because across the reviewed material, one recurring question keeps appearing. Who is the legal counterparty? Who controls execution? Who receives the funds? Who carries accountability when reimbursement obligations are triggered? And what happens when the public-facing structure changes faster than the accountability layer behind it? That is the structural issue, not personality, not emotion, not public pressure for its own sake. The communication also suggested, quote, "I suggest we return the focus to a professional resolution between the two organizations." And to be clear, we agree with that principle completely. The issue has always been organizational accountability. The issue has always been contractual performance, reimbursement obligations, and the broader structure connected to the reviewed entities. But another important point now exists in the documentary record. The previously discussed timeframe for resolution and reimbursement expired at the end of April. No reimbursement execution followed, no operative settlement structure followed, and no formal resolution path was implemented within that period. Instead, the latest communication focused primarily on exposure, visibility, and the ability to continue creating new business structures. That shift matters. Because when visibility becomes more central than resolution, the accountability question becomes harder to ignore. At this stage, the issue is no longer whether one individual claim holds. The issue is whether the wider structure itself can be independently verified in a stable and accountable way across jurisdictions, entities, and recurring business narratives. If any of the companies referenced in the reviewed materials have official information that clarifies or confirms the relationships being publicly presented, that information would be relevant to the public record. Recovery remains the first objective, but documentation continues because the matter remains unresolved, and broader visibility helps other companies make informed decisions before committing funds, entering distribution agreements, or relying on cross-border market entry representations. Transparency is not escalation. It is what remains when structures evolve, explanations shift, and accountability becomes harder to trace across an expanding corporate footprint. Thank you, and stay tuned.